For today, we'll use access to a wall. We'll use a roller, a block, and a strap. So the tools du jour. All right, thanks for being here. We'll begin feeling both breath, our breath, however it's moving in, out, about our person, however we're experiencing our breath. And we'll feel some degree of the weight of the body settling or sinking down. Select to feel this through the sit bones and the tailbone. It's like a three-pronged plug, just slinking down toward the earth, into the earth. And maybe this requires a little stretch of imagination or simply a stretch of our perceptual field. But draw your breath from the ground beneath your tailbone. Draw breath in and up through your core. So we're establishing that breath, core, felt connection. And as you're sensing all throughout the core, from the tail, in and through the skull bones. Is there any aspect of your core, whether it's the low back area of your core or the solar plexus region of your core, the neck, or wherever, is there an area, a little portion of your core that's kind of draws your attention or interest? In our quest to feel, be, and become more whole, more integrated, more coherent, sometimes we have to spend a little bit more practice or attention with those areas that feel a little bit left out or unlike others. So sometimes it's a valuable practice. We'll work with the rounds of Uddiyana today. So if you need to switch the cross of your legs, now's a good time. If you've been using elevation under your hips and you're off the ground, bring your hips to the ground. You can still use a little layer or wedge, but get contact with the firmest surface under you, the mat or so the prop can just be a kind of a wedge under the little bit of skin and muscle of your butt instead of a in-between layer. So we'll go fingertips to the ground. We'll go feet active. Inhaling from the ground, beneath the tailbone, through the core. It's like the pathways through a plant from the roots. Phylum, phloem and xylem, right? Way up through the trunk. And then pause, hold breath. Bring hands forward, swift, thorough exhalation. Remain empty. Draw the shoulders away from the neck, the back of the neck. Draw the belly in. Feet remain active, so our attention still lives in our feet. So we're not withdrawing from our legs, but remaining in our legs, sensing our legs. Release the belly when you need a breath. Come upright. We'll do one more. Here we go. So if our intention is to gather our breath from the soil and the ground beneath us, do you feel a softening, a relaxing at the base of your core, the pelvic floor, the glutes, the low back? Do you feel a tightening? Pause, we'll hold the breath. Bring hands forward. Swift, thorough exhalation. Stay empty. And while I'm letting the neck relax, you can play with that pharyngeal space, keeping that open. Get both and, drawing the belly in. Back and up. Lifting, flaring the ribs outward as if inhaling without airflow in. release them through. When we come up right, we'll go left over right, half lotus. Inhale, reach arms out to the side. And exhaling, we'll go left elbow over right, arms in eagle. When we follow these energetic patterns, how the mind moves, how our attention scrolls and crawls in and around our person, I notice there's a common pattern that as we're breathing or focusing in a place kind of in a more upward area in our body, maybe our shoulders or our back or our head, we'll often kind of withdraw from the tailbone and the legs and the feet. So there's a way that we can keep our sense awareness open in our tail and our legs while we're still focusing, breathing into the back of the heart or the back of the neck. Let's unwind the hands. Our foot's still in half lotus. So this next move is just a partial move. We're folding forward. Fold forward with care. There is a little bit of compression in might be the knee, it might be the heel going into the abdomen or the ankle bone into the thigh, but it's probably a partial fold. And release. So when I come out of a really compressed situation like so, sometimes I'll move the entire thigh and leg first, put that foot on the ground, and then open up or change the knee angle. Do the other side. So half lotus, right over left. Inhale, reaching arms out to the side and the arms this time. As we exhale, we'll be right over left. So yes, we can sense and open up our sense capacities throughout the shoulder as we maintain our feeling awareness throughout our buttock, our pelvic floor, our tail, the ground beneath us, our legs, our active feet. And in a lot of ways, that's what our active feet call us to do, to remain in these lower limbs, in our periphery, to lessen the chance of that withdrawal from our own body. Now inhaling, when we unwind the arms, we are about to fold. Okay? So it doesn't matter how partial that fold is. Might be a few degrees fold. Letting those active feet help anchor us. So just like a boomerang, we're always return back to our body. There is a wisdom here in this body that is unlike, incomparable to any other kind of wisdom. And we'll release, we'll come up. We unwind. Okay, you could do this with or without a strap, but we'll get a hold of a foot. Well, I should say, we'll set our legs straight out in front of us. So we're seated, legs straightened out in front. And however you like, if you're grabbing the left foot with both hands, or if you need a strap, we're getting a hold at the forefoot. And so I am helping my flex of foot. I am pulling and drawing the foot bones toward the shin, just making a pretty steep crease in the ankle. And then pressing my forefoot into that hand or strap. Not to push it forward, but just to push. Taking a couple breaths here. I feel the calves are a little bit activated in doing this. And we'll release, we'll go to the other foot. We're still folded. And we're just taking a little extra measure here to just play with the ankle and the calf, the stuff below the knee. So I'm drawing the foot back with my hands. So it's like my forefoot's a handle. I pull it. And then I add pressure. And release. Let's lie on our back. Grab your roll or your block, whatever's handy, and we'll place it between the legs. Abs with a mat. And the legs go up. Inhale into low abdomen, low back. And we're keeping that low back, the sacrum on the ground. Give that roll or that block a good old squeeze with those inner legs and start to press up through the forefoot, the inner forefoot. Exhale, float the head, shoulders up. I'm just getting the upper back to lift up a little bit. And then sinking the belly in and down. Inhale. Head relaxes down, legs release their pressure. Squeeze the object. Reach up through the forefeet. Exhale. The upper back off the ground. Draw the belly in and down. And do this while still activating the legs. So continue, and I'll just verbalize some details. There's a similar pattern. We'll do at least 3 or 4 more, so just continue. And that pattern that I alluded to before, the tendency to withdraw from some aspect of our legs, our pelvis, our lower body. I think we can find a bit of that pattern here, many of us. As you're drawing the belly down, stay in the legs. The squeeze is there to help you remind the muscles. Use the sense, the sensory component to help point you into feel this. So it's not just doing leg squeeze, it's sensing legs squeezing. All these enactments come with a sensory side. We're listening, we're sensing to the thing that we're enacting. This is a rich, rich way to work with our brain and our nervous system. And when we sense the thing that we're doing, it opens us up to moment adjustments, refinements, creativity. And the butt, the sacrum, remain on the ground. We don't have to swing the butt up. You don't have to swing the legs back. You don't have to swing the tailbone into the sky. Simply squeeze. Feel squeeze. Release squeeze. Feel releasing squeeze. Squeeze. Feel squeeze. And that's all we'll do with that. That's great. Let's get ready for dolphin. We'll do a couple versions today. So first, elbows under shoulders. The knees are under the hips. And exhale. Smoothly press the knees up. And we've been playing, at least yesterday, or at least the last week, attuning to the space in front of the neck to relax the structures of the neck. You'll get two very different responses, I'm guessing. Try it out. There's relaxing the neck, which we might perceive as relaxing the muscles of the neck and feeling the bones of the neck in a certain way. And then if we go to where the Ujjayi breath, sounds in the soft palatal area, and we're following with that pharyngeal pathway. We've done plenty of things to feel how that pathway can be relaxed, dilated, open. With that little Ujjayi technique, there is some contraction with the Ujjayi technique, but we can make it very soft. And as you feel the pathway in front of those neck bones, feel how that changes your neck, your head position, the quality of your breathing. All right, so let's work with the legs. We're not going to withdraw from the neck. That's a wonderful way to hang out and observe in this pose. But let's raise the left foot from the ground, reaching the foot, reaching the ankle away from that vocal cord structure, the soft palate. So let the left foot have some relationship to the soft palate. And that relationship might be, I can feel those two things. I can feel those simultaneously. Okay, then we'll set the left foot down and the right foot. Taking the right leg up. We'll set the right foot down. We'll set the knees down. So let's take a look for a moment. We've done this in the past, not too often. We'll work at first from downward dog. So I remain on my knees. I'm going to set one foot into half lotus. So I'm going to make it the right foot. So I'm kind of doing this from a crawl position, I suppose you can say. And I'm helping that foot with my hands onto my my hip crease. So this is my right foot and my left hip crease, and I have both knees on the ground for support. Now once I have my hands down, then I can press back into a half lotus downward dog. I just want you to see kind of the getting in, and then to get out I would set my knees down, and then just manually help my foot out. So let's set that up. I'm from a crawl position. I just use my left hand to help my right foot into my left hip crease. And if you're not doing half lotus, you'll press up into downward dog and you can cross the right foot over the left thigh. That'll work. Then inhaling, both hands down to the ground, the toes, the left toes curled under. And then exhale. I'll press the knees away from the ground. And we're in a downward dog, which also happens to be a half lotus. And so keeping that foot active, oops, don't get tangled. You can use that foot to nudge into that thigh bone. Feel the sit bones, the tail. Moving away from the brain. There you go. All right, we'll set the knees down and then manually and carefully just help that right foot out of that position. Let's try the other side. So we'll go left ankle, right hip crease. There you go. It might be a half lotus, might be a figure four. And if none of these leg configurations work for you today, just work with us in downward dog, so we'll all get to play. Inhaling, setting the hands, curling the toes under, Exhale, here we go. No stress, no complaints through the knee. Make it nice. And return. The knee to the ground, the knees to the ground, the foot to the ground. We'll press back into downward dog, both feet on the ground. Inhale, right foot forward, warrior two. Wrist stretches. And get into the hands. So right palm face forward. And we'll give ourselves this individualized kind of digit work here. One breath per digit. The feet are in this experience, the legs are in this experience. And you can actively draw your hand back. Instead of just passively drawing the finger back, you can actively, I guess that's flex, bend the wrist. As you passively draw the finger back. I find that it has a wonderful way of getting into these extensors and these structures around the elbow. And inhale, reaching arms out to the side. We're going reverse warrior. Exhale, the left hand down to the left thigh. Raise the right. Inhale, come upright. And when we set the hands down and the knee down, get a couple things going. So let me describe first. Half lotus lying on a roll. So one, let's get our roll. And then two, just like we did before, we'll set the ankle. It's right ankle. In front of left thigh. You could set it higher, but you could also set it low. And we do just a very careful abdomen to roll. Now, if that setup feels like a little bit much for the knee or the back or some such, you could let the legs be both straight and simply lie in a roll. We are going to work this as a cobra. So we'll set the hands out at shoulder width. inhale. Draw the abdomen, the torso, the chest forward softly. Go softly because it comes on pretty awesomely through the body. And then exhale, lowering down. Reset the hands under the chest. And I'm putting my left knee down so I can kind of push back into a crawl position. And that way I can just kind of softly escort my right foot away from my thigh. Now my preference when I have my joints in those real snug, really stretched out places like a half lotus or a deep knee bend, I like to get that foot to the ground and just deliver that little pulse of a push. Like I get those toe pads pushing so all the calf and the foot muscles activate after that kind of stretched out moment. I think that's a really awesome part of just foot, ankle, knee health. And if I'm really feeling kind of groggy in those joints, just make a little circle. Exhaling, downward dog. Now what might be kind of cool is feeling the quality of contact or the richness of sensory aliveness in the 2 feet and the 2 legs. All right, we'll do that for the other side. Inhale the left foot forward, warrior 2. Left palm forward. And we'll go through the fingers individually. Now reach the arms out to side, reverse warrior. Exhaling, we'll go right hand to the right leg, left arm lifts and reaches away from that left thigh. Inhale. We'll come up right when we set the hands down. I'm going to set up. Half lotus lying over a roll. So I got the roll. Putting the left foot into half lotus. And do a very careful lying down. Careful because you may not know how the foot or the thigh is going to feel as the body weight pressure comes down on it. So for some people the foot feels too smashed. For some the inner hip doesn't like it. We'll set the hands out for cobra. And again, a gentle move because we're both in that in that hip structure, in that low back pretty awesomely. Inhale. Stretching that right leg back. And exhaling, we'll lower out of there. Press to a crawl position. Extricate that left foot. If you like the addition of the toe pads, you don't want any surprises going into downward dog, just put those toe pads and create a little activity, like a propulsion. Kind of roll, pushing the foot, and then exhaling, downward dog. And lunge. Inhale, right foot forward. We're sitting left knee down, top of left foot down, drawing arms up. Inhale, bring hands to ground. Exhale, chaturanga. Let's step right foot back. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. Exhaling, downward dog. And lunge other side. Inhale, left foot forward. We'll set the right knee down, the top of right foot down. Now we draw the arms up overhead. Opening up, fanning those hand bones. Feeling the mid-spine lifting, growing, moving away from the low spine. Here we go. Yeah, we're deep in that lunge. Cool. Bring the hands down to the ground. Exhale, step the right foot forward. Fold. Inhale, stand, reach arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart. All right. So let's pause here. We'll talk about our inversion. You promised us an inversion. So we're getting into, let me get all the words here. Half lotus, lunge, handstand. Let's talk about lunge, handstand first. And then we can worry about the half lotus part later. So, let's just do a little show and tell, and then we can do a do in just a moment. If I'm doing lunge handstand, I want to set away from the wall. A lunge amount for me, let's say, is 2.5 feet. Shin and a little extra length. Whichever leg I select to kick with, I am going to be arching toward the wall, and my other leg bending, drawing the heel in. So lunge, handstand. Okay. Now if I'm selecting to go into half lotus lunge, handstand, I put that foot there. And I can create a little more bend in that wall leg. if you're not kicking up into handstand on your own, we can still work some of that sidedness. If we go downward dog at the wall, we can walk our feet up higher on the wall than usual. Just a little bit higher. We can do the knee in. Okay, or we can set our feet up, usually right angle, and reach one leg away. So in a sense, we're deconstructing the parts of the lunge, doing the bent leg part of the lunge first and the long straightened part of the lunge second, or however you order that. I hope that gives us something to play with. Let's find that section of wall. Is it possible to do emergence handstand? Absolutely. So I get downward dog into the wall, I put a foot on a thigh and move my thigh, my sit bones to the sky. So lots of options. Lunge handstand, lunge half lotus handstand, which is like an itty bitty little micro scorpion. There you go. There it is. Now when I do put the foot there, I bend that wall leg a little bit. Because that bent leg isn't behaving like the counterbalance it was before. So that's a great distance for lunge handstand. So you might be working toward the second side very soon. There you go. There you go. Cool. And so let's be in our way to completion with that. And so in just a moment when we get into our next pose, I'm going to have us kind of feel our weight transfer from the outer half of the foot to the inner half of the foot. And so I'm kind of just breaking it out to, you can kind of get an idea. It's not a close-up, but you understand. You can roll, and I'm not tipping the foot. My foot is fully contacting the ground, but I can weight the outer edge and I can weight the inner edge. When we press back into downward dog, let's move together. I'm going to start just with the right side. So one is making as full contact with foot on ground as possible. And then weighting the outside of the foot. Feeling the midline of the foot and weighting the inner part of the foot. And then the left side, making as full contact as possible, weighting the outside of the foot, the midline of the foot, the inner foot. And then gently setting the knees down. And we'll take this L shape. All right, so now legs are active, feet flexed, posting those palms under the shoulders. So traditionally, right, there's a little bandha, or kind of a seal that we make in the throat. But what we'll do, because it's not a chin down move, is feel that soft palatal area, align that over your tailbone. Okay. Push the palms straight down. So you engage the triceps, straightening the arms, moving the shoulders away from that soft palate. Engage the legs, that's the quadriceps, flexing the feet, splaying the toes. And breathing ribs into the arm bone, so wide breaths. The weight's on the ground. We're not picking our body up, pushing our body up. But we are pushing down through the palms. And release. Fold forward. You can grab the forefeet if you like, or the ankles. And release. Shavasana. So lie back. And that we're lying, we'll play as if we're drawing our breath from the ground beneath us. There's a breath reserve beneath us. And effortlessly, we're able to extract our prana, our breath, from that ground. And so there's this exchange through the back side of our body and the ground. And the back side of our body grows more porous and able to transmit this exchange. And here we can simply note if our backside feels like a barrier between the ground. That's a fine way to perceive that. We can get a sense if our back does have that permeability, that breathability with the ground. And these are just little exercises for discovering how our mind moves, or doesn't. When you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side and press to seated. Namaste.